Have you ever felt like your kindness is just taken for granted? Or that being the nice one is actually holding you back? Well, today we're going to dive into the hidden costs of being too nice. And trust me, the problems it can create are very, very real.
So let's just jump right in with a big question. Can being too nice actually cause problems in your life? I mean, it sounds kind of backward, doesn't it? Kindness is supposed to be a good thing. But I bet a lot of us have felt that sting of being the go-to person who just never says no.
And this brings us to what you could call the kindness paradox. It's this super weird situation where your good intentions, your desire to be helpful, actually end up backfiring and creating negative consequences. It's a really common dilemma, and honestly, it can be so confusing to deal with.
This quote from our source material absolutely nails it. You help out a friend one time, you cover a shift for a coworker, and suddenly people start to think you're on call 24/7. Your kindness gets completely misinterpreted as just constant availability.
That key phrase here is to take something the wrong way. It literally means that people are misunderstanding what you're doing. You intend to be helpful, but what they see is an open invitation to rely on you for, well, everything. And that one little misunderstanding, that's where so many of these problems really start.
So how does this little misunderstanding snowball into some serious downsides? We're talking about the real, hidden costs of being way too accommodating. And these costs can hit your career, your free time, and even how you feel about yourself.
The problems really come from all sides. You start to feel pulled in a million directions because everyone is counting on you for everything. Then you start beating yourself up for saying yes again when you knew you shouldn't have. At work, you might even get overlooked for big opportunities. And maybe the worst one? People can start to see your kindness not as a strength, but as a weakness. This really shines a light on the career damage. You're the reliable one, the helpful one. But when it's time for a promotion or a cool new project, you get passed over. It's like the nice ones just fade into the background, while the louder, more demanding voices get all the attention. Your helpfulness somehow makes you invisible. And then there's the stuff that happens inside your own head. That phrase, beat yourself up, is just so perfect. It's that awful feeling of regret, that self-blame you feel after saying yes one more time. You knew you didn't have the time or energy, but you did it anyway, and that is a really heavy emotional weight to carry around. Okay, so we've talked about how things can go wrong by accident. But what if it's not an accident? Sometimes it's more deliberate. How can you tell if someone is actually consciously taking advantage of your kindness? Let's talk about how to spot the signs of manipulation. So, how do you spot this? It all comes down to looking for the red flags. These are the big, flashing warning signs that a relationship might be a little one-sided, and that your kindness is maybe being exploited. Does any of this sound a little too familiar? That friend who only ever calls when they need a favor? Or the coworker who keeps pushing their luck, asking for just one more little thing? And here's a huge one. They make you feel guilty, or they act all upset when you finally say no. They're basically using your own emotions to control you. This brings us to a really important term, the guilt trip. It is a classic textbook manipulation tactic. By making you feel bad or guilty, they pressure you into doing exactly what they want. Just recognizing this for what it is, a tool for manipulation, is the very first step to taking its power away. All right, so how do you stop this cycle without turning into a total jerk? The answer is all in mastering the art of saying no. This isn't about being unkind, it's about setting healthy, necessary boundaries for yourself. Let's break down exactly how to do it. It's actually a pretty simple 3-step process. First, just keep it simple and polite. You don't need a 5-minute excuse. Second, clearly state your limitation. What's stopping you, like your time or your energy? And third, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to stand your ground. Don't let them wear you down. Here is a perfect example of what that sounds like. I'd love to help, but I just don't have the time today. See? It's polite, it's honest, and it's firm. It shows you heard them, but it also clearly states your boundary. You can adapt a simple phrase like this for almost any situation. Let's just focus on that last step for a second. Stand your ground. This means holding firm to your no, even if the other person tries to guilt trip you or argue with you. Remember, your boundary is only as strong as your commitment to actually defending it. So, all of this is building toward a really powerful new way of thinking. It's about totally redefining what it actually means to be kind, and finally breaking that false link between kindness and weakness. This is where we get to the core of it. The huge misconception is that being kind means you're a pushover, that you don't have a backbone. But the reality? True kindness is a choice. It's a conscious decision not to cause harm. It comes from a place of real strength, not from a lack of it.
So here's the key takeaway, the one thing I really hope you remember from all this. Saying no when you need to doesn't make you selfish or unkind. It's an act of self-respect. And when you respect your own time and your own boundaries, other people will start to respect you more too.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, pretty provocative thought from our source material. It's better to be respected than liked. Is that true? Could prioritizing respect over just being liked, could that be the key to breaking the whole cycle of being too nice? It's definitely something to think about.